grinding for my stacks now. I'm feeling lost in this ocean, where's a lighthouse? I keep on swinging for the fence and I ain't strike out. And yeah, that's how I'm feeling, yeah, that's how I'm feeling now. We're not here for a long time, yeah. It's 9 to 5, it's a long grind, yeah. A lot of to success, it's a long climb, yeah. Now I'm sitting here making up for time, yeah. Man, I took so many losses that I lost count. I didn't know what I was made of, but I found out. And this life will blindside, you better look out. These haters wanna see you fall and get you took out. Yeah, cause I fell on my face, and this life is a race. I keep on checking my place. Now I'm riding for my team, you can tell by my plates. And this life just threw a hook, it caught me right in the face. But I'm getting back up, I'll do whatever it takes. I'll climb a couple of mountains, I'll swim a couple of lakes. Don't got time for the bitching, don't got time for complaints. Now you going through some shit, now tell me how does it taste? You don't know all the shit that I've been through, all the pain and the struggle that I lived through. Now I'm rolling up these papers that I smoke through, thinking about all the shit that I've been through. You don't know all the shit that I've been through, all the pain and the struggle that I lived through. Now I'm rolling up these papers that I smoke through, thinking about all the shit that I've been through. Now I'm living with my choices, I just own my mistakes. Cause I'm screaming fucking hand down, I ain't searching for breaks. But I'm barely treading water and this life is the lake. Now the pressure keeps on building as I'm raising the stakes. I ain't looking for advice, now I'm looking for space. Now I'm dealing with these losses, but I know I hate the taste. Now I'm sitting back, I'm thinking as I smoke into the face. Now it's time for these apologies, the time is too late. So bygones be bygones, I'm on business with a tie on. So fuck a shoulder to cry on, I'ma get a hopper like Zion. Let's raise a glass, I'll toast that. Reminisce, we roast that. How I wrote them and ain't wrote back. I'm never flimsy, the goat's backs. I don't feel bad, no not at all. With a lot of years, write a lot of calls, a lot of birthdays without a call. Ain't got time for that, so fuck a fraud. You ain't there for me, I ain't there for you. You won't bleed for me, I won't bleed for you. All the hard times I lived through, keep moving, gotta get through. I got goals and cash I gotta get to, all these memories that I flipped through. If you can't relate, then don't judge. I'll stand my ground, I won't budge. I'm sitting back cause I burn buds, I swear to God this life's good. You don't know all the shit that I've been through, all the pain and the struggle that I lived through. Now I'm rolling up these papers that I smoke through, thinking about all the shit that I've been through. You don't know all the shit that I've been through, all the pain and the struggle that I lived through. Now I'm rolling up these papers that I smoke through, thinking about all the shit that I've been through.
Hey, my fellow retail investors, Butcher of Wall Street here, coming at you, Marcel. Taking a look at some fake news from Robinhood. Once again, Robinhood is spewing fake news about AMC theaters on their app. If you go to purchase AMC or just even look at the stock ticker, this is the first thing that you see. A fake quote, well, a real quote, this is what they quoted, but it's obviously fake news, stating that this company has filed for bankruptcy in response to AMC Entertainment. Huge shout out to Cat Stryker for posting this up. It says AMC has not filed for bankruptcy. These are more short and distort tactics. And I agree. This is more fake news about AMC being spread by Robinhood. You know, Robinhood is falsely claiming that AMC filed for bankruptcy. However, AMC earnings reports will be publicly issued on May 5th, just a couple of days now, and is likely to indicate a major increase in revenues and profits as they've nearly exceeded their 2019 pre-COVID revenues, and 2023 isn't even halfway over. Now that is really fucking bullish in my opinion. And these are realities of the fact that Robinhood is out there showing 100% fake news about AMC theaters. And we have seen in the past that they have colluded with market makers and clearing houses and other broker dealers and lied in front of Congress in that regard as well. Again, when you click on it, it says this company has filed for bankruptcy. This typically happens when companies are running out of money or have trouble repaying their outstanding debt. However, AMC has, and I confirm, not filed for bankruptcy. AMC is doing extremely well. Let's take a quick look at Adam Aron's Twitter right now. Looks like he got the message loud and clear from Cat Stryker and myself and a couple other Twitter users there that were sharing information. He goes, "What the duck?" And we all know what he means there. He goes, "I am getting multiple reports that Robinhood briefly posted today that AMC filed for bankruptcy. How could companies like Robinhood do this? So ludicrous, so wrong, so irresponsible. On Friday, we report first quarter earnings and will announce our sizable cash position." There you have it, ladies and gentlemen, straight from the CEO himself. I don't know, but it's getting to the point where I think, retail investors might consider a class action lawsuit against these mainstream media and broker dealers that are part of this short and distort campaign that are trying very heavily to discredit AMC. Adam Aaron also addressed a couple other things. He goes, "While I certainly am rooting for a good solution for all, I'm not optimistic that Hollywood will avoid a writer's strike. Should it happen, a short strike will impact television programming far more than movie making. Only a long strike is likely to materially affect movies." Again, discussing AMC's strong cash position, it's made even stronger by their absolutely monstrous sales of AMC perfectly popped popcorn in Walmart stores. And they had a massive rollout with great success. And now they are rolling out to 2,600 Walmart stores across the United States. And because people like retail investors such as you and I have demanded it, it can also be shipped to your house from Walmart.com. So that is definitely good news. AMC Theaters got milkshake. Okay, I guess we're coming out with double-decker shakes pretty soon, or we should. That's fantastic. But yeah, they're making serious profit margins off of the movie in-movie theater sales, and now in additional in retail store sales, like and Walmart and Walmart.com off their popcorn, which is absolutely fantastic. That being said, let's talk a little bit about the Short and Distort campaign. That is absolutely monstrous. As you can see here, previously, Citadel Securities and Robinhood both testified in front of Congress that they did not have any discussions in regards to pulling the buy button on AMC Theaters, GameStop, and costs. Let's see, taking a look at this from some of those documentations. On the eve of the January 28th, 2021 multi-broker stock buying freeze, which shut down investors and driving particular stocks down, the COO, Gretchen Howard of Robinhood, said, "Just FYI, that Dan and I are joining Jim Swartwout of Robinhood at 5 p.m. on a call with Citadel. They reached out and want to speak this evening, and we believe they will make some demands on limiting payment for order flow across the board. We won't agree to anything, but wanted to give you a heads up." And of course, Vlad Tenev, the little boy from Bulgaria, said, "Okay, maybe this would be a good time for me to chat with Ken Griffin. You guys can mention that." And there was a redacted name here who we all know who it was, but it doesn't really matter. Said, there's anecdotal evidence that several very large firms are having really bad nights too. And the president and COO of Robinhood, Jim Swartwout, mentioned after the fact on January 27th, "Everyone is. You wouldn't believe the convo we had with Citadel. Total mess." In addition to pulling the buy button on January 28th, what else did they do? They issued tokenized securities. These TSOs were used specifically in order to drop the price. Meanwhile, retail investors were no longer able to buy AMC or GameStop. However, they were still able to exercise their call contracts. Sadly, many did not know that fact. And if they would have done that, there would have been a much greater repercussions and consequences to the shorts. But taking a look here, you guys should check out Samuel Clemens on Twitter. He's a great Twitter user who always comes out with some good due diligence. Posts some of the tokenization services agreement and the agreement between the issuer and the parent company of the TSOs, effective as of November 18th, covers the provision of tokenization securities. Now, this was separate service agreement from the one that was issued on January 28th, where FTX and Bittrex issued tokenized securities of AMC and GameStop and costs and some of the others that were pulled from the markets, because they needed to issue those in order to prevent the stock price from going up any higher, and used those TSOs as share locates in order for them to be able to provide these fake share locates to the broker dealers. Again, here's from backed.fi. Backed tokenized equities have not been and will not be registered under the U.S. Securities Act of 1933 or with any securities regulatory authority as defined by the U.S. Commodities Futures Trading Commission. And as you can see here, the CFTC regulates the United States derivatives markets, which includes futures, swaps, and other options. And that is why Rostin Beanham is now the agency acting chairman. He was preceded by Heath Tarbert. He assumed Rostin Beanham assumed office January 21st of 2021, just 7 days before the January 28th pulling of the buy button. And Heath Price Tarbert, who was formerly the head of the CFTC, is now, as of April 6th, 2021, the chief legal officer of Citadel Securities. He was the 14th chairman of the CFTC. And these guys worked together at the CFTC before he left to go work at Citadel Securities, took 3 months off, went to work for Citadel Securities, and Rostin Beanham took his place. Let me just get that off my screen. I don't need that on there at all right now. U.S. banks move billions of dollars in trades beyond Washington reach, right? When Gary Gensler was at the CFTC in 2010, they made it the ability for foreign swaps reporting into the Dodd-Frank Act to prevent another 2008 crash. But as it turns out, banks were hiding their risks in swaps. But in 2011, Mark Wetjen attacked Gary Gensler's foreign swaps reporting from Dodd-Frank Act after meeting with the banks and being friendlier to their needs. So in 2020, Heath Tarbert rolled it back entirely. He then approved the only perpetual swaps exchange, which is also a cryptocurrency exchange called Ledger X. The CFTC approved Ledger X, which was used to falsely locate, to be used as false locates for stocks of AMC and GameStop, which allowed them to short the stock and reduce the price and provide those locates to the broker dealers to reduce the cost to borrow. In September of 2020, the CFTC announced it would approve an amended order of registration for Ledger X to clear additional products. Under the amended order, Ledger X is authorized to provide clearing services for fully collateralized futures and options on futures, in addition to the previously authorized swaps, and will no longer be limited to clearing digital currency swaps. And we all know, as proof, we all know from FTX's collapse that FTX did not hold the equities, the underlying assets of AMC and GameStop for which they were selling these tokenized securities. We know this for a fact because it was in their bankruptcy filings that it was not there. They did not have a single fucking share of AMC or GameStop when they collapsed. Meanwhile, they continued to sell these backed tokenized securities. So even though they didn't have a single fucking share, they continued to use them as share locates. That is part of the reason why AMC and GameStop and COS and other meme stocks have been driven down into the ground over the last couple of years. Now, we all know also that on January 25th, 2021, 3 days before the buy button was pulled, Citadel and Point72, Steve Cohen and Kenneth Griffin, were giving $2.75 billion to Melvin Capital. All right, and they gave this money to Melvin Capital because they knew that if Melvin Capital collapsed, there would be absolute monstrous waves of defaults across the system, taking down Citadel Securities, Point72, and likely tons of other short sellers and their prime brokers out there along with them, such as Bank of New York Mellon, State Street Bank, Susquehanna, Bank of America. The list goes on and on and on. I'm not even going to name them all or we'd be here all day. FTX tokenized these stocks on January 27th and they pulled the buy button, had these discussions on January 27th and 28th. Retail was no longer able to buy them, but market makers or short hedge funds were still able to buy those shares because they absolutely needed them. They were hiding mismarked failures to deliver in these foreign swaps and had to roll them over every month. Okay, Brett Harrison of FTX via Twitter explained all of these clearly. If you're a Twitter user, you probably know what happened with FTX and Brett Harrison, but he came out and physically explained to everybody about these criminal activities and told people to steer clear of LedgerX. And less than a few months later, Brett Harrison and Scaramucci, Sullivan and Cromwell and Mark Wetjen bought LedgerX. Here's the FTX finalizing their acquisition of LedgerX on October 25th of 2021. The parent company of LedgerX was Ledger Holdings at the time, and it was purchased by Brett Harrison, etc. And what I just explained that, so I'm not going to go over that once again. But I'm going to leave that there. Now, what does that mean? There was no more rollovers required. They were able to just hold on to them in perpetuity. And as you can see here, FTX US hired the former CFTC commissioner as head of policy and regulation. Mark Wetjen, the former CFTC commissioner, will be responsible for the exchange's communications with U.S. regulatory and legislative bodies, such as the CFTC and the SEC. So the former CFTC acting chairman and LedgerX board member, Mark Wetjen, was hired in order to discuss with CFTC's now standing Rostin Beanham, and the other CFTC chairman went to Citadel. That would be not Rostin Beanham was still at the CFTC, but the other guy that went to Citadel Securities was Heath Tarbert. Heath Tarbert is the same guy that is doing the same thing for Citadel as Mark Wetjen was doing for FTX. So now that these are able to be held in perpetuity, FTX Trading had two confidentiality agreements that they created with Citadel. FTX Trading has two confidentiality agreements with Citadel. They were dated January of 2022 and July of 2022. This is a direct link between Sam Bankman-Fried and Ken Griffin, as if there wasn't already, between Heath Tarbert over at Citadel, who came from the CFTC, Rostin Beanham, who's still at the CFTC, and then Mark Wetjen, who went over to FTX. And this, of course, was signed by who? It was signed by Heath Tarbert, this confidentiality agreement. So they used these LedgerX to hide their FTD rollovers, their failure to deliver rollovers, and dump their risks into burner wallets. Okay? And Brett Harrison of FTX knew that these could destroy FTX, and they continued to do so. Mark Wetjen writes the FDIC about not being regulated or insured, but he did not say anything to the Securities Exchange Commission. So FTX collapsed, and then Sullivan and Cromwell removed Sam Bankman-Fried and appointed John J. Ray III and allowed him to represent FTX despite massive conflicts of interest. LedgerX was salvaged by Ray and Rostin Beanham, and on April 4th of 2023, Sullivan and Cromwell hosted the closed-door auction of LedgerX, which was delayed 3 times. Okay, why? Because it's a ticking time bomb. Later on, FTX reached a deal with M7 Holding. M7 Holding was a family private equity investment firm based in Akron, Ohio. All right. And there was an affiliate of Miami International Holdings operating several exchanges in the United States and abroad. And Mark Wetjen was CEO of MIAX Futures for almost 2 years. Check that out. The FTX head of policy and regulatory strategy for LedgerX, MIAX announces that it entered into a purchase agreement to acquire LedgerX. And the former CFTC commissioner and was sitting on that board since 2015. Ladies and gentlemen, the links here aren't just a few. They are staggering. They are clear. And what is going on here is nothing short of a massive criminal enterprise. So I want people to realize that, and remember that a lot of the reasons why you're seeing the issues that you're seeing in the stock market is because stockbrokers are working together with some of the clearinghouses and some of the market makers and some of the prime brokers, as well as the family offices, to lie to retail investors about what's going on and to pull the buy button. If you go to litexchange.com, you see Lit Exchange with no E at the beginning. Litexchange.com, you will see some updates that we've posted soon. This is a stock and cryptocurrency brokerage firm that we are currently working on getting the approvals to become a licensed broker-dealer through FINRA. This has been a long time in the making. We started this in September of 2021, and just a few weeks ago, we broke Twitter. So we posted to people if they'd be interested in a broker-dealer that doesn't use payment for order flow as their main source of income, such as others that that do. An overwhelming, almost 92% voted yes before Twitter broke. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, we broke Twitter. Okay, we ran a poll to gauge interest in commission-based trades, moving away from payment for order flow. And with nearly 3 days left to complete the poll, Twitter stopped adding votes from users. Verified users, unverified users continued to vote, but every single time it would, the vote would go up to $17.99 and come right back down after a refresh. So with 3 days left, we were unable to continue this. But regardless, we will continue onwards with our journey to create a world-class, game-changing stock brokerage firm that does not use payment for order flow as their main source of income. We will use payment for order flow directly to the New York Stock Exchange and Investors Exchange if as necessary. And we will also try to centrally clear all orders directly to a lit exchange, to a lit market. Now, this is what Senator Foster thinks of retail investors.
This sort of cockamamie system that we have right now does allow a retail investor to sort of raise up his hand and say, look, I'm clueless. Will you give me a good price to trade against me because I'm documented to be clueless?
Fucking
You
chump.
understand?
Well, actually,
low toxicity of their order flow is, I think, the buzzword.
I like to think that the individual investor is pretty smart, but the individual investor is only trading small amounts of stock. And so there's a sweetness in the order. And it's trying to get
That's right, but-
competition for that sweet order because it's small.
Yeah, but right now, your system, as I understand it, might take away his ability to sort of monetize the sweetness of his small, clueless orders.
I actually think, and again, it's only a proposal. We're going to consider all the comments that come in, but it's trying to get even greater competition. It's saying that order could go straight to a lit exchange. That'd be fine.
straight
That
to a lit
order, if
market.
it could get at least mid-market, half the spread, that would be fine. But if it's less than that and not on a lit market, put it out to some competition.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Big Money Club thinks we're clueless, and they're about to be proven wrong. If you'd like to learn more, go to litexchange.com. I'll drop it in the comments. It's also down here in the description. And you can sign up for our beta test and for updates. We will email you updates as we move along in the process for FINRA approval for becoming a licensed broker-dealer with FINRA. And you will have access to some absolute game-changing tools, the likes of which you've never seen on a broker-dealer before. In addition, it is going to be our, not just our right, but our, how should I put it? Our goal is to get orders off of dark pools, to take orders out of the OTC, off of over-the-counter trades, and into lit markets, into lit exchanges, such as the New York Stock Exchange, such as IEX, etc. Because I've had about enough of retail orders getting front run, pushed in dark pools, suppressed OTC, and just all sorts of swaps, TSOs, rehypothecations being traded against what retail investors are actually putting their money into. That being said, I think retail needs to seriously look into what they're going to do about other false news, short distort campaigns, the likes of which Robinhood and mainstream media continue to push, and possibly, just possibly, file some sort of class action lawsuits for the misinformation that's being put out there. So that being said, I wish you guys peace and wealth. I'm going to come right back at you with another video here in a few minutes, but I'm going to end this one soon so this one doesn't go too long. And then we're going to be discussing the largest banks that are collapsing around us, and we're going to talk more macroeconomics. This video, I wanted it to be strictly about AMC and the tokenized securities that are being used and abused against this stock and GameStop and others just like it. That being said, I wish you peace and wealth. Thank you very much, everybody. Enjoy the rest of your day. I'll catch you on the next stream.